Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Cy, Huffer, and Friends. Today we are going to continue our conversation on the topic of marriage. And so this month we're focusing in on that. And so if this is something you enjoy, you like being a part of, you can comment and ask questions, or you can subscribe to this channel. It'd be great having you follow along this journey here. So today my friends that I have with me are my good friends Lindsey Bright and Andy Andrews. And we're going to be just asking a bunch of questions of each other. They might be asking some specific questions to me about our marriage, but we are excited to jump into this. And so, Lindsey, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the group here?
Sure. Hi, I'm Lindsey, and I've lived in Naples, Florida for about 3 years. I've known Cy and Monica for about 2 of those. I've been married for about 13 years. I have 2 kids, Charlotte and Henry. And I wanted to join this podcast for Cy because I always like to tell Cy my opinion, and I know better than him. And I'm known to be opinionated and oftentimes interrupt both of these guys as we have discussions. So
awesome. Oh, I love it. Cool. And Andy, what about you, man? Introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me, Cy. First and foremost, I'm a proud Floridian, originally from Jacksonville. Interesting fact about my wife and I, we'll be celebrating 15 years of marriage this summer, but we have moved, I think, 13 times in the last 16 years. We were in the Army before, and then my last career was a workaholic. Any opportunity that came up, we moved, but I think we're finally settled. So we've been in Naples almost 4 years. We live out in the beautiful community OBR with you guys. We have 2 children. They're quickly growing. 15-year-old just had his birthday on Sunday. Aiden is our oldest, and then Luke as well, which is the baby of the family. For work, I am a financial planner here in Naples, and then my brother and I own an automotive repair shop in Jacksonville. And when I'm not juggling all of that, occasionally I try to get out and run a triathlon.
That's awesome.
this is not advertising for what you do, by the way.
Oh, what do you do, Lindsey?
I'm a photographer.
What's your career? Yeah.
Lindsey, this is not advertising for what you do.
You can find Lindsey photography.com. Is it .com.org?
Lindsey, I don't know what my website is.
You don't know what your website is? Well, we got to make sure.
I know my Instagram is Lindsey Bright Photography.
Lindsey Bright Photography. You can follow along. Well, hey, my name's Cy. I'm married to Monica. We've been married for 15 years this May. We have a hard marriage, but a good marriage has high highs and low lows. And so we like to ride roller coasters. And we have 2 wonderful kids, Jerry and Chandler, 9 and 7. And so that's a little bit about us. So we'll go ahead and jump in to some questions that we might have for me. Andy, you go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah. Cy, I want to know, what is something that you do that drives Monica absolutely crazy?
That's a long list of things that drives Monica crazy. I have ADHD, and so there's a lot of things that center around that drive her crazy. And so I will be forgetful in the midst of tasks. And so I'll be taking out trash and be walking around the house and take it outside. And then when I get back in, I've kind of forgotten what I was doing. And I forget to put the next liner back in the trash can for her, and just leave it without the liner refilled. I leave lights on almost everywhere I go. You can see where I've been because I've left lights on around the house. I'm a klutz, and so I'm spilling things constantly. So there's little trails of coffee drips and spills throughout the house that I don't see, that Monica does see. And the girls are now seeing them too. They're like, "Mom, we found a coffee stain," and they're telling on me. I'm like, "Come on, girls, just tell me first." And then one of the big ones is I zone out a lot. And so we had a friend staying for a weekend at our house, and she was like, "Monica, you say Cy's name so much." And it's because I'm not paying attention. Like, I'll be zoned out thinking about this idea or this trip I want to do, something I'll be dreaming. And Monica will be talking, and I'll have no idea she's talking. So we've learned that to get my attention, she always has to start what she's saying by saying my name, Cy, and then say the thing she's going to say. And that kind of gets my attention focused on her. So those are just a sample of things. Anything that you do that drives Katie crazy, Andy?
Similar to you, Katie says she can see a trail of where I've been. There's coffee grounds there, and the cabinet in the kitchen's there, and there's slippers there, and she could just see where I've been in the mornings, really any time of day. I do a lot of tapping or whistling, which she doesn't necessarily enjoy, but I'm always like trying to make some sort of noise.
Yeah.
And then classic husband stuff, just selective hearing.
Yeah.
So
that's good. What about Lindsay? Do you do stuff that drives Nick crazy?
Oh, I'm sure. I can tell you one that I will start having a conversation. I'll be like, "Oh, so that Sai told me a story today, and there'll be a long pause, and I pick up my phone, I start scrolling through Facebook. He's like, "Are you going to finish the story, or are you going to just scroll Facebook?" So I do that often. I wait about 4 weeks to do my laundry and my kids' laundry. And so then I finally pile it all up. We do all the laundry. We have about, 8 large baskets of laundry, and Nick has to fold it all. So he gets mad because I wait to the last minute. He's like, "Why don't you just do it like little bit by day, and then it would just be little bits at a time?"
That's just not how we operate around the Bright household.
Not how I operate, at least. So
That's good. Okay, Lindsay, what about you? What's a question you have?
Well, I got lots of funny questions here. I want to start by saying every time I feel like Monica and I are on the same page as Nick and Sai. Like every time I'm mad at Nick, Monica's mad at Sai, and I see Sai and Monica, and like I'll look at Monica like, "We're not talking today," and I'm like, "I'm not talking to Nick today either." So really, we're talking. It's just stupid arguments, but things that we laugh about. So that is going to be my next question. I feel like a lot of arguments are silly. What is the weirdest or silliest argument that you guys have had?
Oh gosh, the weirdest or silliest argument. I feel like we try to forget them so fast. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know why I'm mad at you or you're mad at me, but it's really, I know that a lot of times it's a silly thing that starts it, but it's how we respond to each other in the moment that makes it cycle out into worse and worse stuff, but I think probably one time we got in a really big fight was when we were in a car. We struggled being in the car together. We were, driving, and the little helper that helps me drive, Monica, sitting next to me. And so it's like, I think we got into a fight one time about like, she told me to go out of the parking lot this way, and I thought she meant that way, and yet I didn't go the way I went, the way I thought I should go. But I'm also the one that struggles with like directions, and I'm directionally challenged, and parking lots are the worst for me. I never know how I came into a parking lot and how to get out of them. And so I was digging my heels in about wanting to go the way I wanted to go. And she's like, "But that's not the way we came." And we got into this huge fight about how to get out of a parking lot.
I would say, go ahead.
In y'all's defense, the parking lots are crazy in Southwest Florida. There's no direct way to get into a business. True. You got to go through like a maze.
That is true.
That is
and
true.
Lots of U-turns.
Yes.
I would say my silly, well, there's lots of silly arguments. Like, when you have a dream that maybe like somebody cheated on you, or like I got like mad or pissed off at Nick in my dream, and then I wake up and I'm like, "I'm mad at you today, but I don't know why I'm mad at you. I'm not going to talk to you today." Or you can understand this because you've been there, but we go on boats often, and I tell Nick, "Why are you not driving faster? Why are you slowing down in this area?" He gets so mad at me. He's like, "Do you want to come over and drive this boat?" So those are stupid, silly arguments. So those happen.
I do think after that parking lot fiasco, I did not drive for probably 2 months. Like I was like, "Listen, you drive. I'm not driving." And so we got through that. We do a lot better now, but that was a rough one. That's funny.
Oh, mine hasn't changed. I think mine continues. He has to drive the boat, and I still yell at him.
Hey, when it works, right? Andy, what do you got, man?
I always joke around, I don't know how I was able to drive or how I was able to park before I got married. So I have my little helper in the car as well. But what's helped me is, Katie's just curious and she's trying to help.
That's right. So there you go. That's good. What's the next question? What do you guys have?
Andy, you want to go or want me?
Yeah, we're all super busy. In 2025, there's all these apps, all this technology, but it seems like there's just more and more on our plate. So I want to know, how do you juggle, right? You're trying to be a good dad, and you're trying to be good at your job, and you're trying to keep healthy, but you have this marriage to focus on as well.
Yeah, that's. I think anyone that would jump on a call would be able to resonate with that. I think one of the things I talked about in the first episode of the month about marriage is that there's only my mentor of mine said this. There's only two things that you're going to be the best at. There's always going to be a better photographer, a better, financial advisor. There's always going to be a better business leader, a better salesperson. The only two things you're going to be the best at is a spouse to your spouse and a parent to your kids. Like that's it. Like because no one else can be that but you. And so you prioritizing that, and those are the two things that are going to wreck you or make you or break you. Is your marriage. If your marriage is a mess, it doesn't matter how great your business meeting went that day. You're going to go home to a mess, right? And so prioritizing that is the only way. You've probably seen that illustration of like someone having like big rocks and then like some pebbles and then sand. And you put the sand in first, all the little things, and then you try and put the pebbles in next, and then you try and put these big rocks in there, they don't fit. But if you put those big rocks into your jar first, like the highest, most important priorities of your life, and then you put the little pebbles around it that kind of form around those big rocks, and then you start pouring sand in, the sand kind of makes its way around the big rocks. And so I would say you got to prioritize time for, I as a pastor, I'm going to say this always, time with Jesus first. He makes you a better husband, a better father, a better leader in every area of your life. That's the best self-care you can do, is spending time with him. And then you got to prioritize your marriage. Even before your kids, which that's maybe controversial to say, but your kids will one day grow up, graduate, and leave you, which is sad to say. And you're going to be looking at someone that maybe you've been a stranger to for 10 years or 12 years or 18 years. So you got to prioritize. That's the only relationship that's going to last until you die, because that's what the vows were, right? So I feel like if you can prioritize, and I struggle with this. I'm not saying I do this perfectly, but if you can prioritize time with your spouse, time with your kids, and it doesn't have to be hours every day, 15 minutes of you looking at your spouse saying, hey, how are you feeling today? This is one of the habits that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. It's like, where are you at right now today? Going on a date night each week, getting away once a year. Like there's different rhythms you can do to prioritize that time without kids. I have found that the rest of the stuff tends to take care of itself. And Andy Stanley has a book called Choose to Cheat. You're going to have to cheat something. So cheat the things that are temporal, right? Not the things that are eternal. Not the things that you leave a legacy with. Nothing is more important than you and your spouse setting a healthy relationship for your kids and your family and your house. Like that is so vital for everything. When that's going well, that's out of the overflow of that comes healthy leadership at the workplace. Because, in the workplace, you're sitting at a table having a conversation with people. If you have this horrible fight or this horrible tension with your spouse, you're bringing that baggage into that room, or if you're coming from this incredible, rich, satisfying relationship into that meeting, you're bringing that into that room. And so it really is, I think, the foundation that you build everything else upon. I would not try to balance that. I would try to have no, my foundation is my marriage. Out of this, I do the other things of my life. If that makes sense.
I agree. I think people who have children and then they're afraid to get a babysitter because they have kids at home. I think it's so important. I had a friend tell me one time, her husband was going on a work trip and overseas. And I was like, oh, are you going with him? That's so cool. She had never been overseas. She's like, why would I go with him? I have children. And it was right after I told her that me and my husband were going to go on a trip, just the two of us. And so I kind of felt like it was a dig at me because I'm choosing my husband over bringing my children with me. So I think it's so important that you travel with your husband alone and travel with your kids, but travel with your husband alone. Take a date night, get a babysitter. There's so many people that are afraid to get babysitters. And I think, first off, kids learn that way. If you don't expose them to babysitters from the beginning, when they're 8 years old, they're just going to be menaces because they never had a babysitter. So I think it's so important to prioritize. myself. So, but again, I'm an opinionated person. You can tell me I'm wrong. So I love my children, but I love my husband. So.
No, I think it's a good perspective. I think there's a lot of things that get in the way of people choosing to have babysitters, not knowing people, not trusting people, all that kind of stuff. And so, man, I always would encourage people to get involved in a local church. Well, if you get involved in a local church, they're going to have people that are background checked volunteers in kids ministry. And so being able to find someone that could do babysitting is, I think, going to be actually easier if you're involved in a local church than if you aren't, if that's an issue. And then you can also do stuff at home. I mean, you don't have to get away. I love getting away. My wife and I do it all the time. We have family in town, which makes it great. We used to not have family in town, and we had to create networks of relationships and sitters to watch our kids so that we could go. But if you care about it, you're going to spend time and money on it, right? And if you care about your marriage, budget. We used to always have sitter money every month. We knew we were paying sitters for our date nights. You can do date nights ins. I remember one time I met with a group of adults who were trying to have like a small group together, and they weren't meeting for 6 months. I found out, and I was like, "Hey, why aren't you meeting?" And they said, "Well, we can't figure out childcare." And I sat down with them all and I said, "Wait a second. You're a lawyer. You own 2 businesses. You're a teacher. You're a principal. You're telling me that that your combined intellect couldn't figure out childcare for your group over 6 months? Like that's if there's a will, there's a way. I really believe that. And if you really want to prioritize your marriage, you'll figure out how to do it. You'll figure out how to do it. And if you have questions about how to do it, post, create, add a comment, ask a question, and we can try and answer those at some point. But yeah, we got off. That was good stuff. Lindsay, do you have another question?
Yeah. Do you want to go funny or serious?
Do fun. Do a fun one again.
All right. I have a list of fun ones. All right. This one's going to be short and easy. If you were to go to a restaurant and you had to order for Monica, she's in the bathroom and she's like, order something for me. Do you think that you could pick correctly off the menu?
100%. Absolutely.
What would her go-tos be?
I know that I would not fail if I ordered her a Philly cheesesteak sandwich.
Okay.
That is for Monica. If she walked up and I'd order a Philly cheesesteak, she's going to be thrilled.
I'm going to text her right now and see what she would be her go-to would be at a restaurant.
Yeah.
So.
And it depends on the restaurant too, but most bar and grills have a good Philly cheesesteak and she's going to love that.
Do you think she could do that for you?
Yeah, I think she could. Yeah.
Andy, what do you think? Do you think you could do that for Katie?
Probably not. I could tell you that she would not like a Philly cheesesteak. I have learned that. I know for a fact Katie could probably order the first thing that I would pick, the second thing, and the third thing in order. Yeah, I know Katie likes dynamic flavor profiles, like a hot and a sweet paired together. She loves a brewery and a sour beer. But I don't know if I could nail it specifically what she would want.
I think if I went to a restaurant, like actually it's kind of a game that we play. Like we'll go to a restaurant and I'd be like, okay, Nick, this is what you're getting for dinner. And he'll be like, okay, yeah, that's what not because I'm like telling him to get that. I'm like, you're going to want to get this for dinner. It'll be like chicken and waffles or asabuco or like I can always like pinpoint on a menu what he's going to order from each place. So, but yeah. And if he were to do for me, I think that he like, I switch mine up, but I think if he had to order something, I think that he would know, like, okay, order her chicken wings because she likes chicken wings or French fries or whatever it may be. All right, because my next was short.
I was going to say another response to that real fast is a lot of times I play a game with the server. I have them surprise me with a dish. Okay, that's how easy I am. I'll eat pretty much anything. And so ordering for me is super easy because I'll eat whatever comes to the table, But chicken wings is one of my favorites too. That's fun.
I love chicken wings. Okay, because that was short and sweet. I'll jump to my next one. It's short and sweet. Who apologizes first in your arguments?
I do. And the
your fault?
Huh?
Is it usually your fault or?
Yes, that's true too. So I apologize first. It's usually my fault, and I'm a sorry whore. And so I say sorry easy to move on, even though if I'm not really sorry. I'm like, if I can say sorry, move on, and Monica calls me out on that. No, you're not actually sorry. You're just saying that to end the fight. I was like, well, yeah, that's true. So, but when Monica apologizes, she means it. Like, she means it.
I don't apologize.
You don't
so
apologize.
Nick always is the first one. First off, when he was like, "You are going on a marriage podcast. You're going to talk about marriage. What kind of advice can you give people?" So that's for the record. So I definitely don't apologize. Any fight that we have, it will go. I mean, we cannot, and when I say not talk to each other, I don't mean like legit not talk to each other, but we cannot have like I don't know what the word I'm trying to look for. I don't want to say intimate even, but we can't have like a normal conversation. I mean, we talk about our kids and like normal day-to-day stuff, but like we won't have like husband and wife kind of conversation for like 5 days until he apologizes. I will literally hold out until he says sorry. And early on in our marriage, I feel like he would say sorry a lot sooner, but now I think he's like learned that I'm stubborn. He's starting to get more stubborn.
Yeah.
We'll go like, I don't know. I was mad at him like 2 days ago because he went to bed. So this is something that's, I think I mentioned to you guys, like our entire marriage, we've always gone to bed at the same time.
Yeah.
Like if he goes into his bedroom or into our bedroom to go to bed, I will go into my bedroom to go to bed at the same time with him. So we've never gone to bed separately if we were in the same house together. So the other night I was editing photos and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go take a shower," and goes and takes a shower. And then he goes into bed. I mean, I'm sure I realized he was in bed, but not really. And he texts me. He's like, "Are you coming? I'm sleepy." So I got so mad because I was like, "Am I just supposed to stop everything I'm doing because you're tired? I have to go to bed now." Now, mind you, it was 11:30 or like 11 o'clock. So I mean, we go to bed at like midnight usually. And so I get in bed. I was all pissy and getting mad at him because he just assumed that I was ready for bed when he was ready for bed, when whatever. And then I wanted to watch a TV show, and so that started on like 2 nights ago, and then. And then last night, or no, that was 3 nights ago. And then 2 nights ago, it was the same thing when he got out of bed because I wanted to watch TV and he didn't want to watch TV. And so I watched the two episodes of whatever show we were watching. So then 2 nights ago, he was so mad because he turned on the show to watch together and I watched it. And so we went for 2 days until finally last night when I laid in bed, I was like, okay, I'll love you again. And then, but he did not apologize, and I would not apologize either. So
I think it's it's a big no-no to watch husband and wife shows solo. You can't advance. But what you said reminds me of like the meme or reel or TikTok I've seen before. It's like when you're mad at your spouse and you're not talking, but you're ready to come back, so you got to bring up like a silly question, and so you're like in separate rooms. You come back and you're like, "Has our ceiling fan always been 4 blades? I thought it was 5." And it's like this signal, like, "Oh, I'm not mad at you anymore.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to re-engage."
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Funny.
All
right, Andy.
What about you, Andy?
Well, I feel like Lindsay's bringing all the fun questions, so I don't want to be the one with all the serious questions. But that's kind of my personality.
You're too serious. Sorry.
I am too serious. Sai, what do you think are maybe the most common misconceptions people have about marriage today?
That it's supposed to make you happy. I think that's probably the most important one. Is that marriage is designed for me to get into it, and it's supposed to be this thing that brings me happiness. And there's a great book called Sacred Marriage, and the whole concept of it is the purpose of marriage is not to make you happy, it's to make you holy. And if you get into it expecting this other fallen, messed up, jacked up human being to fulfill all of your desires and all of your deepest needs and longings, they are going to fail you. They're going to let you down because no one's designed to do that but God. Like only Jesus can do that for you. And so when you have those expectations, you're setting yourself up for regret, for bitterness, for anger, because there's going to be seasons where the person that you're married to is not flourishing. They're not thriving. And if them thriving and them meeting all your needs is what your happiness is based upon, then you're going to be riding that roller coaster of happiness based on how your spouse is treating you today. Marriage is designed to make you holy, to make you more like God. And what we mean by that is holiness is set apart. It's the idea that you are um, different, that you are different from the hell on earth reality of being a sinner in a fallen world. Okay. That you're set apart, that you've been made different than that. And so to become holy is a refining process. It's like you have these rough edges, you know, and you have someone that comes in, they kind of smooth them out and refines you and makes you kind of a more complete person. Marriage is that sanding process. When you get married to someone, marriage reveals and unveils in you the selfishness, the bitterness, all of the things that you don't like about yourself that you were able to hide. Marriage brings all those things out. It will. And what marriage does then is it forces you to face those things and to say, am I going to grow and allow this to refine me? That's what it means to be made holy, to be changed, to be transformed. Or am I going to either, and that's one way to approach it, or what happens in a lot of marriages is someone becomes the dominant one and the other person lays down, right? It's like, okay, this refining process is not going to be mutual submission, mutual sacrifice, mutual refining. Instead, one person's going to always get their way and the other person's just going to lay down and take it. And if no one does that, if you won't do that, then people get divorced. And so I think that is going into marriage thinking, hey, this is going to make me happy. This person makes me happy dating. I'm infatuated. I'm Twitter-pated. Like, this is awesome. And then, boom, you start getting refined and you start refining them. And it's like, or they want you to lay down. And you're like, no, I'm not going to. So I think those are some of the, that's the biggest misconception of marriage. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. If you had one asking that question, like Andy, like I think this is something that people think going into marriage.
Yeah, I could totally see what you're saying. I mean, I have a tendency to think up something and just be total optimist, jumped in both feet.
Yeah.
And so I think, it's going to be absolutely amazing and perfect, and there's never going to be a challenge or any adversity. And it may not take long to realize that is not the case. So I'm not sure with our two boys, because 10 and 15, they're going to fight from time to time. Like, hey, even if you like perfectly molded and cloned yourself, you would start to annoy yourself, right?
Yeah.
So like you can kind of show somebody good impressions for 90 days. But I mean, if you've been married 10, 15, 20, I don't know, 2 years even, you're going to start to see things about the person, their true wiring, their true weaknesses. So something that's been beautiful for us is growing through that. Before it was like, maybe a tough time that is so hard. But now we've seen so much growth that comes from that, right? It's often those stresses that blossom into some of the strongest things within us.
That's good. What about you, Lindsay? Anything on that?
I agree. I think that everybody thinks going into marriage, it's so great. You're in like that honeymoon stage so early on. And then like people don't realize that there are stressful challenges. There are things that come of it. And, like, I guess, I had a friend that got married after being with a guy for 4 months, and like 2 months after they were married, she came to me and she's like, I just don't know how I'm going to handle this. I'm like, well, if Amy, like, if I don't necessarily want you to go get divorced, but if you're not happy, I think first off, like, find someone that's going to make you happy and that's going to make you a better person. And if they help you, come out like you're the best of yourself when that person is around, I think that person is who you're meant to be with. And they were married for 4 years and then they ended up getting divorced. She's on her third marriage, because I think don't rush into getting married. Find that person that's gonna, I think that's what happened with her. Hopefully this never gets back to her, but hopefully, like she found that guy and all of her friends were getting married because everybody else was getting married. So she felt like she had to get married, and then they get divorced. And then like before she was even officially divorced, she was dating the next guy. And then they went to Las Vegas on a trip and got married in Las Vegas. And then she finds out that he has a drug addiction and a gambling addiction and was spending all the money, lost like $100,000. And so then they get divorced. And before she was officially divorced from that guy, she's already married to the next guy. So this one, she's been married, I think, like 3 years and it's stuck. She's pregnant, so hopefully it sticks. But, I think for her, it's just that feeling that you needed somebody. And to me, that's not a reason to get married. I think that you just want to find that person that really makes the best of you. And
that's good.
Know that you're going to have hard times, know that there's going to be arguments, and, that you just got to work through them. It's not, does just because you have an argument and you may not talk for a week, maybe that's not healthy, but hey, talk through it together, to know that you can work through it.
Absolutely. We listened to Monica and I were at a retreat the other day, and there was a counselor near there, and he said, you need to find someone that has your front, not your back. Like people that have your back, it's like, I'm going to have your back no matter what. Like I'm behind you. But that's helpful. But someone who has your front is someone who's willing to confront you when you have issues you need to be confronted about. And we want people to like love me as I am and never call me to like change or to grow or to get better. And to have someone that's like, no, I love you for who you are, but I'm going to confront you when you're not being the best version of yourself.
So I got a question, since we have opposing sexes here, right? I mean, if I have a buddy that calls me out and he's like, hey man, I love you. You're looking a little big around your midsection. I'm probably gonna be like, hey, Cy, thanks, man. I noticed that. I need to be called out. I'm going to get better. And it doesn't have to be weight specific, but I do feel, stereotypical or not, men may take some criticism or feedback a little bit better. Lindsey, I want to know, like, is that absolutely wrong? Do you how would you
I tell Nick all the time, like, hey, if I feel like, if you think that I'm like gaining weight, like I'm like, oh, I just feel so gross today. Like I cannot wear this. I'm so pudgy. Like I don't want to wear this. Oh, I think you look great. I'm like, I don't want your biased opinion. I want your real opinion. Like if you think that like I look fat in this dress, please tell me, because I'd rather have you tell me that you look fat in that dress. He's like, you don't want to hear that. I said, yes, I want to hear that. I have no problem telling Nick that, okay, you look a little chubby. Like maybe if I'm taking a picture, you stand up straight, suck in your belly a little bit. Like I have no problem telling that. I will say Nick, the girl that has been on our third marriage, she's my best friend from high school, and we were walking down the street, and this is how Nick said this to her. He's like, Amy, you used to be a little doughy, but you're looking really good right now. And I was like, you don't tell anybody. I don't care. Like, he's like, that was a compliment. That is not a compliment, first off. Like it's a backhanded compliment. You used to be fat, but now you look really good. So maybe watch how you say things. But I mean, some women want to hear like, oh my gosh, you look beautiful regardless of how fat you. Oh, don't say it like that. Where you look beautiful, regardless. Like I love the way you look. Okay, maybe some girls want that. I personally want to be told the truth. So if I'm looking doughy, please tell me that, hey,
you're looking doughy.
You're looking doughy today. I'm
gonna leave that up to Nick to tell you. Hey, Lindsey, what's your next question?
Oh, okay, so like I said, I have silly and serious. Why
don't you go serious? You've done a couple silly ones.
Okay, sure. All right, I gotta find my serious questions in my list here. All right, what advice do you have for couples who are struggling with faith differences?
Oh, that's good. That's a really good question. I would say there's a tendency when, let's say you have the person growing in faith and the person stagnant in faith. Let's just use those labels. There's maybe better labels for that, but I'm just going to use those labels to describe the difference between the two. Okay, so the person growing in faith is going to want to try to not leave the person stagnant in faith behind, right? That's the desire in their heart. And so what they end up doing is they end up like buying books for their partner, asking their partner to go to this Bible study with me, to this church service with me, to listen to this podcast I listened to, or look at this meme I saw, or this reel on social media. And what can happen is it can make the one stagnant in faith just feel like not accepted, not loved, and just attacked constantly by the one growing in faith. Okay. And so I think I would have advice for both partners. Okay, so if you're listening and you're growing in your faith, I would say your primary job is to pray for your partner and show them the change in your life, not try to get them to change their life. I'm going to say that again. Pray for your partner regularly. Show them the change happening in your life. Don't try and get them to change theirs. Okay? It's not our job to change other people. God's the one that changes people. Okay. It's our job to basically be open about how God is changing us. Okay. And your partner, who is stagnant in faith, will be intrigued by your faith when they see you changing. Okay. So that's what I'd be for the person growing in faith. That's the advice I would give to you. The person stagnant in faith, your partner has this new thing they're doing, they're excited about, and you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is annoying. This is frustrating. I don't want to jump in on board with this. I would give you this advice. If they had found a hobby that they were loved and was giving them joy, wouldn't you be excited that they found a new hobby that they were doing? And wouldn't you show interest and intrigue in that? If you loved them, and you would show interest and intrigue into the new hobby that they're engaged in. Okay. And then let me ask you this question. If you're stagnant in your faith and your partner's growing in faith and they're really engaged, and I would ask you to answer this question. Is this new thing making my partner giving them peace and joy and becoming a better version of themselves? If it is, maybe ask yourself, is this something I should consider investigating? I'm seeing them change like never before. Maybe this is something I should take into account for my own life. And so that's the advice I think I would give for each of those partners in that situation.
As I have ADHD, ADHD, as I learned, it's not ADD anymore. Thanks to Sai and Andy. As I learned, but you mentioned a meme. Do you guys just like send memes back and forth to each other, or is that just Nick and I? Like, I feel like
we do
Nick
that
and
too.
I just we send memes back. I feel like that's a true definition of marriage these days, is sending like stupid memes back and forth to each other that define your marriage. Anyway, that was a great answer.
Or even friendship, right? I meet a new person and maybe we've gotten a coffee once or lunch. Like once they start sending memes every now and then, I'm like, I have a new friend. We went from acquaintance to friend, you know? And the next thing you know, it's the end of the day and you're like, man, I have all these meme videos from all these people on like 6 different platforms. And you're like, I have an hour's worth of stuff to watch from everybody.
Sorry, I didn't get off. That was a really good answer to your question, or to the question. I did mean to get off topic there, but that's what I do. So
that's
I'm sorry.
What this is about. That's awesome. I love it.
That was a great answer.
I'll take a stab at a silly question, and it's something I think most of us are guilty at. But each of you, I want to know, what is a chore that you pretend not to be good at so you won't get asked to do it?
I don't want to share this. I'm going to get in trouble. So, painting walls, painting things. I think I'm genuinely bad at it, but I talk about how bad at it all the time in hopes that it will still not be something that I'm asked to do. And so I think I'm not as bad as I talk about it. I don't intentionally do it poorly when I do it, but I do talk about how bad I am a lot on it. So
I'm sorry if I outed your secret.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Jeez.
I would say my chore is, my husband was in the Army and he can make a bed perfectly with those corner folds. I don't know what they're actually. You could speak to that. Anytime we wash the sheets, he is the one that has to make the bed because I want them perfect.
That's right.
So I pretend that I can't do that, which he's tried to teach me, but I pretend that I don't remember. He's like, let me just teach you. And so he teaches me every time. But when he teaches me, I'm always doing something else. So I don't remember how to actually do it. So, but I would say he forgets that he can, like, this goes to two sides here, because I say that, now we live in a gated community or like a HOA community that does all of our yard work. But like yard work, he pretends that he doesn't know how to do yard work, and he pretends he doesn't know how to pick a weed, which, we came from Illinois. You had to take care of your own yards in Illinois. This is what we did. So he knows how.
He knows how to do it. I'm going to have each of you ask one more serious question. So
Hold on, Andy has to answer that.
Oh, yeah, Andy, you go. Any chore that you pretend to not be good at?
Yeah, it used to be the dishwasher. I can't stand doing dishes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's a nonstop cycle, right?
Yep.
I mean, you gotta cook it, you gotta store it, you gotta clean it, then the plates you ate on, the stuff you stored it in, the grocery shopping. I mean, but now I realize, like, man, with the 2 kids eating all the time, we can't leave this to the kids or Katie. So, but I used to pretend not to know how to load the dishwasher.
I know, Sai, you're going to ask us a question, but I have to just put this in there, and Nick will probably thank you for this. I feel like I'm a lazy wife when I talk to you guys because Nick does our laundry, he cooks our dinner, he does the dishwasher. When I say he does the laundry, hold on, I like sort the laundry and I put it in, but he's the one that folds it. So he does a lot of our household chores. So
Go Nick.
I can't complain too much.
Way to go, Nick. You're the bomb.
You can ask questions then.
Andy and Lindsay, just do one more question. If you had one last question to ask, we're about to run out of time here, but I want to do one more question before we're done today.
Andy, you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is real life, right? I mean, we're all probably trying our hardest at a lot of different things. I want to know, Sai, how do you come back from a hard moment? You feel Monica has wronged you. You know what the right answer is. You maybe know what the Christian or godly answer is, but like emotionally, like that hurt. I'm upset. I'm defensive. And so how do you put that aside to try to do the right thing and be there for that spouse, even though you kind of feel you have your own need in that moment?
Yeah, I think that's there is a yearning and a desire for vindication, right? Like, I've been treated unjustly, and okay, Lord, vindicate me. Like, okay, Lord, show that I'm right and she's wrong, or show that I'm right and he's wrong, or whatever it is. And there is a yearning and a desire for that vindication to happen, and justice. We have a justice. All of us have a justice gene that we want to come out. And so I can speak to this as followers of Jesus on how to handle this. Not necessarily those that don't follow Jesus. I think if you don't follow Jesus, I don't know what you do with justice. I think that's a hard concept to wrap your head around, like, because you're living in a world that just doesn't get justice right a lot. But as followers of Jesus, there's this beautiful passage in 1 Peter 2, and it talks about you submitting to the king, slaves and masters, and husbands and wives. And basically, it talks about suffering. That, again, if the purpose of marriage is to make me holy, not happy, that's a big key switch, right? One of the things that makes me holy and changes me is suffering. Like, pain is actually a change agent for you. Pain. There's a great book called Leadership Pain, and it says that all growth is change. Right? Growth equals change. And when you change equals loss. You're going to have to lose something when you change. Mm-hmm. And then all loss equals pain. Because if you lose something, there's pain with that. So growth equals pain. And you're only going to grow as far as the pain you're willing to endure. And the same is true in marriage. And when you are treated unfairly, unjustly, there will be times when you will not get justice. You will not get vindicated. That you'll be suffering, and it's not just. And yet, in 1 Peter 2, we see that the example to us of what to do when you suffer unjustly is Jesus. And it says something along the lines of, he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities, and the punishment that brought us peace was upon him. It's quoting Isaiah 53. And it says this: he himself bore our sins in his body on the tree, because he entrusted himself to someone else to be the judge. Mm. Jesus said, I'm not the judge right now. I'm the self-sacrificial love. Vindication will happen on Judgment Day. And as Christians, we get to look forward to a day when God is going to judge everyone and is going to make all things right. That's not today, though. My job today is not to get vindication. It's to love people self-sacrificially. And so when that happens for me, I can only talk about for me, I have to actually decide this is the time where I get to suffer like Jesus did for me. Right? The last episode, a couple weeks we talked about was a key habit to marriage is confessing your own sins. It's saying sorry. Sorry, Lindsay. No, it's saying sorry. It's confessing your sins to God and to others, because you have to have a bank of grace that you're offering your spouse constantly. And that tank of grace is going to get empty. it's going to get drained.
If you can't see, well, I know you can see me, but if nobody's watching this and just listening, I'm over here shaking my head because I don't want to offer the grace.
So, but you're going to have, that tank is going to get empty and you're going to run out of grace. And if you run out of grace for your spouse, the options are minimal. It's like, okay, then live in bitterness or divorce or whatever. The only way to fill that tank of grace up is to receive grace from others. If you don't need grace, then you have no grace to give. Okay. But if you keep remembering, like, no, I have a Father that has forgiven me of my sins, and it cost him Jesus dying on the cross, and that was unjust, that wasn't fair, and you receive that grace because you're confessing your own sins, that fills your grace tank up to offer to others. We forgive the way God forgave us, is what Scripture says. And so, you know, this is way easier said than done, to offer grace and to suffer unjustly. But I think in marriage, both of you are going to look back over 40 years, 50 years, 60 years from now, and the thing that you were so upset about in the moment is going to be minuscule compared to that perspective. And you're going to have all of these moments where, what a joy, what a privilege that you get to love someone else the way Jesus loved you. You know, you get to join with Jesus in loving people and helping that person grow into the image of Jesus, that we get to do that. And that's hard perspective to think about because we want someone to do that for us, right? But I think that is the only way to really to endure that kind of suffering long term, with a joyful attitude. So that would be that's about all I have on that. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add or anything, but I think that's the only way I've been able to do it for 15 years.
Yeah, I love it. I have one question. I'm going to ask a good ending question.
You go for it, Lindsay. Last one.
I just want it to be like short, simple.
Yeah.
If marriage had a warning label, what would you have it be? Like, it can't be a paragraph long. It's just a quick little warning label.
Warning, this will change you.
Okay. Mine was handle with love, faith, and Jesus.
That's good. What about you, Andy?
I think it goes back to what Cy said in the misconceptions of marriage. Mine would say warning, sacrifice required.
I love it.
That's good. This will change you. Sacrifice required. Handle with what? Love,
faith, and Jesus.
Faith in Jesus. Well, Andy, Lindsay, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully everyone out there enjoyed listening to us just kind of discuss and wrestle with what it means to be married and to pursue a healthy marriage. And if you like this, hey, if this is good for you, edifying for you, comment on it. Let us know what else we can talk about. Subscribe to our channel. Great to have you with us, Cy Huffer and friends. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.